It has never been easier to be a shy genius in this modern age, not only given the fact that the internet has brought people closer together, but that closeness being artificial and not even close to being comparable to an actual human friendship or connection. But also the fact that there's an absolute wealth of information available online, be it through content creators giving actual useful information, or if you were to find a website and download books for free and pirate them and read as much as you want. Those two things make it nearly not addictive, but make it quite more enjoyable to just rack up and load up a whole lot of information about everything and anything, with no urgency to do anything with it or create anything, be it creative or be it useful or helpful, whatever. And this is a problem because anybody worthwhile that you know, anybody you've read stories about, anyone who's written books themselves maybe about their lives and their stories, they have done things, obviously. But it doesn't take someone to be even of average intelligence to do something, or even to do something worthwhile. And this point couldn't be made any clearer than when you see some of the content creators making entertainment content online. I couldn't exactly point out anyone, I think. Well, I could, but I couldn't find the common theme. But there's 100%, without a doubt, at least some portion of entertainment content creators who make millions that are just simply below average intelligence. But they made it work because they're doers. They're bold idiots rather than shy geniuses. And another angle that I could explain this from is that your subconscious mind knows more than your conscious mind allows you to believe. And the example that I can give is that with given a new situation, if you were to be put in a new situation, let's say, and you had to work out the best thing that you should do, if you're somewhat intelligent, you will take information and past experiences and try to make some sort of logic, try to take the logic from those situations and put them into this current one. And you will have, it will be the intuitive feeling that will make you feel like, I should do this feels like the best thing to do. But your conscious mind will not allow, your conscious mind will be wary of being so bold in a new situation, because even if it doesn't take someone to be smart to know that you should be careful with things that you don't know about or situations you haven't been in before. And so your subconscious mind will probably know the best thing to do, but your conscious mind won't allow that to happen. A personal example that may be a bit unrelatable, but I'm learning French at the moment, and a while ago when my knowledge wasn't even that good, I was reading text, reading sentences, whatever it was, and if I read through it fast, I could get the gist of what the sentence was trying to say. and pretty much understood the whole sentence. If I just read it at a normal reading speed, and try to comprehend it. But if I slow down and try to think about every single word that I read and how it ties into the whole sentence, it was much more difficult, and of course much slower, because that's when I understood that my subconscious mind understood what was said, what the sentence was saying in French. But because I was so new, my conscious mind couldn't allow myself to be so bold as to understand this new thing that I've just recently started. That's the best way I can explain it. It's that if you have a good head on your shoulders, basically, your conscious mind will try to be careful so as to not hurt you, so as you don't get into bad situations. But a lot of times your subconscious mind knows exactly what you need to be doing. And another point that I think about when I think about being a bold idiot rather than a shy genius is that when alongside I'll tie this into something I said already, and it's that when if you were to read again of some people that did fantastic things or have fantastic life stories in general, and you've read all of them and you're all read the whole story, the whole life thoroughly, if you were to talk about that with someone, that's not good conversation, simply for the fact that you're not presenting experiences that you can expand on. You're just presenting facts. Someone did this. It's like, another example I can give is that some of the stories I've heard of the people who've the first I don't know, half dozen people who tried to reach Antarctica and set up base there or claim it or whatever, they have pretty interesting stories because what they're doing is unbelievable, and most people couldn't even imagine even attempting to do something like that. But telling their story is a dead end because you can't, as I said, you can't expand into it. Whereas you yourself could take a subpar, maybe even bad holiday to somewhere, I don't know, South America. No, I don't know. Somewhere where you'd have a bad experience, or just somewhere that is dead boring. But telling a story of your own experiences is much better because you can actually expand it. You could say what you felt, what you thought in each moment, and just basically get into much more detail than telling someone else's story. And I want to make the point, really want to drive this point into your head, because I've 100% have had, and I'm trying to get out of the problem of being a shy genius I'm trying to get out of the problem of being a shy genius rather than a bold idiot, because I first realized that I could learn something very thoroughly when I started playing basketball at 16 years old. Because when I started, I was absolutely obsessed with it. I played and practiced, not played, I practiced every single day. Nearly every single day. And on top of that, I also did research and tried to analyze the best players and read theory and I don't know. I don't even remember all of it because I really tried to read everything that was possible about basketball to improve me in that way, and even mindset and sleep and everything. And it eventually got to a point where I understood so much. Maybe I don't know. I couldn't compare myself to my knowledge compared to other people because it wasn't really talked about or anything. But I knew so much, but I did so little. I think all of that extra knowledge and time spent on gaining the knowledge did not make me a better player, and perhaps even made me more cautious because I understood of all the of more things that could go wrong. But I didn't clock that at the time, and didn't even clock it until much later. And then I started, the next thing I got obsessed with, was gym and exercise and healthy eating and diet, basically. And I took the same approach, but I actually started to get results because I was actively doing it, and I was with like gym exercise and healthy eating. You're only against yourself, really. You can compete with other people, of course, to push yourself further and get more out of yourself, but it's absolutely not necessary. And I didn't compare myself to others, and I was just doing it for me and against me, I guess I could say. And well, yeah, basically I achieved results. I achieved something. I started gaining muscle, gaining strength, started eating healthier and understood good food and bad food. And yeah, in a situation, in a thing like gym and eating, it's very easy to start doing, very low barrier to entry, and so you just start doing it and very quickly find out what's good, what's not good, what you like, what you don't like. And then after that, I definitely cemented in my head that if I obsess over something and learn everything I can, I will. Again, I didn't think this through at all. I only realized that if I obsessed over learning about something, I could learn about it, but I never thought about actually achieving something and accomplishing something in this thing that I'm trying to do. And then I tried. Oh yeah, then I tried trading, and I tried drop shipping. Also, soon after I tried, that's when I started making self-improvement content on YouTube. And I spent all the extra time trying to gain knowledge, not exactly trying to be better, because that's all I knew. And that it led me to where I am now, where I haven't achieved much, or if anything. Yeah, I haven't achieved much, or if anything, when talking about basically everything besides perhaps gym or like fitness, gym, fitness, healthy eating, and mindset. Everything else is severely lacking for the amount of time that I put into it. And I have mentioned in a few of my, maybe one or maybe a few of my latest videos that I'm trading again, and my skills are absolutely not up to par for the amount of time I've put into it, because I've spent all my time learning theory and trying to learn every single possibility that can happen in every situation. And if you do that before you've basically had no experience, it's terrifying to actually start, because you know what can go wrong and you know how much can go wrong, whereas at the start with no experience you know so little of what can go wrong, and so it's much more easier to go and take the first step and actually achieve something. And to avoid speaking about beating a dead horse, basically about this point, you learn most when something goes wrong. If you read, again to the read point, if you read about how someone is doing something and they say this is the best technique because whatever, and don't do this instead, you'll understand that information, but it won't click in your head because there's no emotional attachment to it. Basically, you don't remember information for the sake of information. You remember information for the sake of doing something or not doing something that will either make your emotions better and avoid making your emotions worse. Because everything and anything that you try to achieve is for some sort of feeling and not the actual thing itself, of course. And so to boil down the point I'm trying to make is that learn by making mistakes. As a child would try to walk and fall and then learn that it hurts when you fall over, so I'll try not to do that. Do the same with everything you do, everything basically. And I also, a long while ago now, made a video of I nearly cut off my finger, here's what I learned. And I don't know, this will probably not be, oh, you see it. Yeah, that scar is still there, and I've lost some sensation in the tip of my left ring finger, to the side of it, because of that cut. And I can, with near 100% certainty, say that I am more careful with knives now than 99% of people because of this accident. Because you can be careless and live on the edge, so to say, before you make mistakes, because you don't know how bad it is when it gets bad. I learned how bad it gets when it gets bad, when you make an oopsie with a knife. And so I'm forever going to be much more careful and try to drill into other people's heads to also be careful. I guess, but the only that just came into my head that the only counterpoint that I can make to everything I've just said is that people have stories and they tell stories and they say what they learned, and they express what they think and what they feel, and how how they could have done things better, whatever. But the stories they tell and the emotional attachment that they express with each said thing, you do learn from that. And like the point I just made about the knife, that like people are going to listen. If I'm ever going to say to someone, be careful with a knife, this is why, they're going to listen. And so, of course, there is merit in reading what other people have done, so you can learn. But you have to read. No. The amount of information that you think you need is so much less than you actually. The amount of information that you think you need is so much more than you actually need. A lot of wisdom can be boiled down to a few key points. I guess a good rule of thumb would also be to always attempt to create more than you consume. And in that way, you'll always, of course, be trying to do something. And then, if something goes wrong, if you make a mistake, if you feel like something's not right, and then you read about it, or hear someone else's story, that will click, because the mistake or the negative thing that happened will create a gap in your knowledge around something. And you will be able to fill that with exactly what you need to learn. Because if you try to learn just a whole pile of information all at once, you don't know where it's applicable. Well, you may know somewhat, but not exactly. And you may apply it differently, and so it will fit into different gaps than when compared to other people. And so by trying to create more than you consume, you'll undoubtedly create gaps of knowledge, of information that you need to fill, and that you will try to find, and that you will find, and you will fill. And then once you try to create again and things go well, you will know that you've read the right thing, and you've read the right thing, and that what you're doing is good and what you've read is good, and it was worthwhile, and it didn't instead just create, no, not create, and it didn't instead just fill a random gap of knowledge that you didn't really need filled.